Alrighty. Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 129. With this one, we're discussing the last 4 episodes for Shushu Sentai Jetman, episodes 48 to 51. Finally, this is done. Yes. After coming back this thing 2 days ago, I finally am finished. Yes, all finished. Now, in these particular 4 episodes, this is pretty much the end game arc. The first 2 episodes are basically, well, you could say that each episode does lead into the next. The first 2 episodes is kind of a 2-parter within this 4-parter, where basically we start off with Raijin trying to turn Maria into something like a queen, but actually making her into a demonic beast, making her his puppet. And then she goes around biting various guys as a vampire. Yes, I do at least got a comment about this. Yes, at this point, it had been 20 years since the original Kamen Rider, and the vampire effect in this one looked a lot better. Unlike in the case of Kamen Rider, the second episode of the series, the vampire fangs don't look so cheap. And they're not like this thing just come out of your mouth, like square, like very roundish. Here, these look like actual vampire fangs. So good job, Toei, for actually improving on something Kamen Rider basically did back in the 70s. Now, I do like Kamen Rider. I will eventually get back to that. Don't worry. I will talk about that once I talk more about that in the next video. Basically, I'm going back to watching Kamen Rider for a little while. Well, after I'll talk more about that when I talk about my final thoughts on Jetman. So, one of the places that Mario goes to is the Tokyo Dome. Yes, the actual Tokyo Dome. Now, this could be the actual Tokyo Dome. The Tokyo Dome, those of you who don't know what this thing is, it's a building in Tokyo that is it's Tokyo's version of Madison Square Garden. It's where New Japan Pro Wrestling held its annual New Year's Day shows. Basically, whatever the first weekend of January, that's where they have it. For the past about 16 years, basically, is in Wrestle Kingdom. It's their WrestleMania they've held there. And I've heard also All Japan Pro Wrestling, actually, they have held events there too, but not as much as New Japan. New Japan, this is their staple venue. This is their home, per se. Yes, in Japan. Now, this particular building has popped up in one other Sentai I can think of, and that is, I believe, was in Time Ranger, believe it or not. This was probably the first time the Tokyo Dome would actually appeared. Now, let me take a look-see of exactly when the Tokyo Dome was first opened, per se. Yeah, it's a baseball stadium. Okay, this stadium was first opened back in 1988. Yes, and like I said, well, New Japan's over having it here ever since 92. Though this was a year afterwards, but yeah. It's really good the fact that they got a place that, well, had pretty much open for 3 years. And they go inside per se, mostly, but it's the outside of the place. Yep. So then eventually we have this mysterious monster that pops up in this first 2 episodes, who's very powerful, and they can't exactly and of course Mega's have a tough time trying to battle this damn creature. What this creature is, they actually don't explain until the end of episode 50 what the heck this damn thing is. So, meanwhile, you have Ryu, where he's basically taking on Maria. And then eventually she implants him with a little thing that she was implanted with. And he tried by Corey back in the base. So Corey is able to basically get him out of his stoop. And the thing is destroyed. Then, of course, basically, they're able to finally have a final confrontation at this cliffside beach area. Where Mari herself turns back into Ree. Ree ends up stabbing Ranjit, which does play a role in the final 2 episodes of this run. Yep, that actually plays a role. And rather she stabbed with using Ryu's sword, Ranjin, being the vengeful type, decides to slice at her chest. No, seriously, just slice right down, right, just basically like right at her chest, not like on her breast per se. Well, I can tell, looks like it's basically from the shoulder, like all the way down. And then of course Gray, who basically is trying to tell Maria that Ranjin is using her. She doesn't listen, and eventually she does die in Gray's arms. Of course, Ryu wanted her to die in his arms, but she basically told her, she told him, forget about her, erase all I've ever heard, just move on from me, just don't think about me anymore. This does play a small role in the very next episode. Yep, where Ryu kind of quitting the Jetman to go find Wrench and to basically confront him one-on-one. And he leaves a note, though he rides by himself. Meanwhile, the Jetmen do go after him, but they're stopped by Gray. And Guy takes him on. A pretty good battle, which ends basically Guy winning using... While during the battle, Guy basically uses his gun to blast out one of Gray's arms and the gun in his back. Yes, his gun in his back. And he's able to fire the damn thing. Of course Gray gets his hands on Guy's sword. Eventually, he he gets shot and he beats him. Of course, he does have the gesture of lighting his last cigarette. And then Gray dies. Yeah, Gray dies. Normally, when a bad guy dies in Super Sentai like this, they usually explode. But yeah, his body is just left there in this area. And it's not known exactly what happened to his body. It's like just left there for some reason. Also, prior to Ryu leaving the base, he did reprogram the Jet Striker, the little bazooka gun, to fire automatic. And Raijin destroys it. Yeah, he destroys the weapon. Yeah, that's the only one of the major weapons actually fully destroyed. Yeah, for some reason where I am, people still fire fireworks. This way, I gets at the 4th of July. It's kind of weird. So, yeah, and then of course they damage him, though he didn't go giant size. Oh yeah, this mysterious monster they battled in the previous episode was in fact Raijin all along. And this was his true form. And then he brings, like in the final episode, he brings the actual base, the Vyram Castle, which is probably abandoned. Either it's abandoned or probably some of the grunts are still there. It's presumed because the grunts don't really make an appearance in the final couple episodes. Yeah, I thought this was kind of weird. Like, it's like basically for some reason, the grunts basically just dropped in appearances. I'll talk more about this in my final thoughts on Jetman. Then eventually, the stab wound does play a role, so they summon all their Zords, basically battle the damn thing. Eventually, Ryu comes to the idea. At one point, they merge, but they're stabbed once again, like the third time this combined form is stabbed by a freaking, like, tentacle. So, Ryu comes to the genius idea to hold Raijin in place while Guy, by the way, the sword, the robot, once again has lost his arm. Like, is this a minor gag in the series where this Megazord gets damaged when it knocks out one of the arms? Also, Raijin takes his time when Toro Boy is summoned. He basically chops up Toro Boy's arms, making him a complete useless robot. Yep. Then eventually, of course, they use the sword to stab right through the freaking back. And that kills him. Like, before he dies, my spirit will haunt humanity for all eternity. And then he dies. 10 minutes into the finale. Yes, 10 minutes in. Yeah, and of course the backup Megazord has mostly been destroyed. And what happened next? Well, I did watch a clip show that revealed that Corey had comforted him for 3 years because 3 years later we have a wedding. Yes, though it is revealed that Ryan did marry his childhood friend Suki, who basically cooks him a lunch, and Uncle calls him up. Apparently, she's become a singer. Yes, either a singer or some kind. I say probably like a big pop idol, which is interesting to say the least. Of course, they're basically the great news that Corey and Ryu are getting married. Now, in the case of Corey, this is the second time in the series that she's had a wedding scene. At least this time, she's able to go through it no problem. Then, of course, they have the wedding. Guy is late. Like, he's, oh yeah, my best friend's getting married, buys flowers. And then some mugger, some random guy, steals a woman's purse, he chases him down, like, and then he beats the crap out of him, takes the purse back, and basically chastises him for basically stealing on his best friend's wedding day. And the guy is like, screw you, takes out a freaking switchblade, stabs him in the gut. Surprisingly, you don't see any blood dripping from him, which is interesting to say the least. And then Guy just wounded in the freaking guts. By the way, the mugger himself disappears, never to be seen again. I'll read what happened to him in the final thoughts. Like, I'll read more in a little bit. So, he managed to arrive at the wedding after the ceremony is already over with. And, of course, everyone's throwing up, got Ryu for getting married. And it's like, everyone's so happy for him. The commander's there wearing a different outfit than the actual. I was surprised she put on military uniform because, well, she is military. They could put military on, but nope. By the way, Ryu was wearing a regular tuxedo, not his uniform, which is interesting, despite that he's a member of Skyforce. Yep, and it's implied something really just falls asleep, and well, that's where the thing ends. And of course, you have a clip show to end the run. I gotta say, really good 4 episodes. Interesting though, we don't have a fight. Here are some things. I'll talk more about this. My final thoughts. But man, there's some missed opportunities with this finale, which I've heard was very controversial when it came out. Yes, because it was very abrupt. Yeah, it's like, oh, we have this victory, and then cut 3 years later to a wedding. Yeah, let's go support on that. My final thoughts this thing. But damn good 4 episodes, love them. Can't wait to discuss my next episode, which I'll reveal that in my final thoughts video for Jetman. Yep. So yeah, that's it. Next up, final thoughts. Okay, next video. Bye.